Really excited to be here today to talk a little bit about making your own local maker board or holiday board, whatever you want to call it. But it's a collection of things that could be seasonal. It could be utilizing the resources that you have around you to pull it together in a balanced way. And there's a strategy to it that if we strip it down and we look at 4 simple steps to walk yourself through as you're designing your own holiday board, you may find it to be extremely helpful in your process, and it might really help light up some creative juices that are looking to come out. So Kelly is going to email this to everybody, but it's a step process, and what we're gonna go through are the steps, and I'm gonna go through and actually put together a real live board for you for today following these steps. So just like you're looking at, down at your plate and assembling things together that would have nutritional profiles to them to promote balance, because maybe, they have protein and fiber, and we know that protein plus fiber works together in a partnership and helps slow the rate of the food turning into blood sugar. It also helps with your digestion and really your hormones. And that's something, just a mindful moment of the holiday season. We want to be mindful of our hormones, whether we're a male or female body. Our hormones are constantly shifting because they're trying to keep up with us. And the holidays can be a bit more stressful, which means that all of us, no matter what age you are, our hormones are going to shift. And insulin is a really important hormone that is connected to our energy levels and our blood sugars and digestion, and all the other hormones, because we're all connected. But if we think of it in terms of just knowing that our hormones are going to be shifting constantly, we can then pause and add in things that will help our body balance itself along the way when we're in this moment of heightened stressful situations, possibly. And that might be, when we even consume processed food, that is bringing in a little bit more stress because it's harder for the body to digest those type of foods. So that being said, when we add something in, when we're having maybe some foods that we typically don't have, that's also a very small way, an easy way that we can promote balance in the body. With the board, the reason I brought up protein plus fiber is that's a great way that we can put balance into our environment no matter where we're going. Because if we're designing our own board, we can choose different proteins and we can choose different fibers, and we can assemble our boards together that will be supportive for us. So step 1 is to choose proteins. So think of like anything that has 7 grams or more of protein is going to be a good fit for this selection. I chose things that I put on the list that I thought might be a good fit for a board and that I've done for catering in the past is, different ways to use farm eggs. So ahead of time, I do have a bowl here of farm eggs that I just boiled. So I'm going to do a hard-boiled egg. You could also do like an egg salad. You can put like proteins on your board that are going to need a vessel of some sort. So let's say, for instance, there was like crackers or pieces of toast, or that might be a good fit for when you have like an egg salad or a chicken salad. So I have hard-boiled eggs here, and I have pulled chicken that I can easily add flavor to, but also could go on a cracker or go on a piece of bread or even in a cabbage leaf. So cabbages are my favorite things to incorporate into a board, especially this time of year. I'm gonna let someone else in here. So just thinking outside of the box a little bit of like, how can you expand your board beyond cheese and crackers? And there's so many other ways that you can incorporate proteins into, and it doesn't have to be animal proteins, it could be plant proteins. But the farm eggs, you could just simply do, you know, you could do deviled eggs. You could do just farm or hard-boiled eggs. You could do a tamari egg, which is actually using tamari in a vinegar, and you dip the eggs, and you can use like a mason jar and fill it with some vinegar and then tamari, and you put your hard-boiled eggs in, and the outside of the egg gets coated in the tamari, which is like a version of soy sauce, and it adds a whole other pop of flavor. You could also do pickled eggs too, where you're just using some seasoning and some vinegar. I typically use apple cider vinegar. I do buy it in bulk here, so this is my gallon of apple cider vinegar, but at the grocery store you could get like Bragg's apple cider vinegar, but if you do find like a local person that makes it, you might want to buy it in bulk because it doesn't go bad. This time of year too, I love saving, if you have access to any raw apple cider vinegar, you can let that sit and you can make your own apple cider vinegar. It's actually very easy to do. So those are the different ways that we can use eggs on our board. And then with the chicken salad, again, like that's something very easy that you can do ahead of time and incorporate into your board. So I had, you know, local chicken that I got at the farmer's market, and I just put the whole thing in the slow cooker and cooked the whole chicken. Now I can use that for making my own bone broth and all these other things, but I can also pull the meat off of the chicken, shred it up, and I made like a curry sauce that I can put over it, so it's a curry chicken that's gonna go on my board. You can also make dips with tahini, so you could have a variety of plant proteins versus animal proteins. And I have links to all different recipes for you too, so you'll not only be getting the 4 steps of creating the local board, but you'll be getting a document that has links to all different types of recipes, like a beet hummus and some different tahini dips. So again, it's just, tahini is ground sesame seeds, and it's a protein because any nuts or seeds are a protein. So tahini dip is a great option. You could also do like different pesto dips. So I will be making a kale sunflower seed pesto. So you don't necessarily need to go out and buy the pine nuts, and you could use any type of seeds actually, or nuts, to make a pesto. So I have like pumpkin seeds here. You could use sunflower seeds. You can use any greens. And so I have that recipe coming to you as well. And then our different cheeses. So cheese is, again, like a protein. We can put it on the board in the form of a protein. We do have raw milk cheese, which is different from pasteurized cheese. And if you want to incorporate both into your boards, great. Raw milk cheese still has enzymes in it that help our body digest. So it could be more digestively supportive to guests if you're choosing a raw milk cheese versus a pasteurized cheese. It's not always the case. It depends, because each and every one of us have a different digestive system. But that is something to think about, that the enzymes are present in raw milk cheese, and oftentimes it's easier to digest if it's a raw milk cheese. You could incorporate yogurt in some way if you wanted to do, like if you could do a sweet or savory dip with different types of yogurt. And then different nuts and seeds. I like to do more of like a messy style board, so I wait till the end of doing it for nuts and seeds, and I'll either find like small bowls to put them in and find different spots to put them on the board, or I'll just go super messy style and kind of like spread them in between the different vegetables and fruits that I have on my board. You can also do like, you can incorporate fish or smoked fish. That's something really easy to do, is like a smoked fish dip, like a smoked salmon dip or a smoked bluefish dip. It doesn't have to be just with cream cheese. There's a lot of other ways that you can make a smoked fish dip that, again, I'll put links into it for you. I usually just like to try to find some type of a flavor profile, and then I have used a lot of yogurt in the past with those, or you know, you can use actually the tahini in different ways. So there's so many options. Or you could just do a traditional style smoked bluefish pate if you wanted to. And then you can incorporate meats if you want. So like a prosciutto, or, you know, any type of animal protein. It's completely up to you. It's your board, but these are just all options where I like to try to at least incorporate, depending on the size of the board, about the size of I like to incorporate at least 3 different proteins. So whether it's like eggs, chicken, tahini dip, pesto dip, cheese, yogurt, nuts and seeds, fish, smoked fish, or like any type of meats. I like to choose 3 at least, because we're promoting balance in the board. And then step 2 is to like choose our produce. And so some highlights to guide us through choosing our produce could be, you know, let's check out what's in season first. Maybe that just entails going to the farmer's market and seeing what is available, and you know that it's in season. Or you could print out a seasonal guide that we have used in the past, handouts, and you can see what's in season with the different, you know, fall, spring, winter. I think right now we're safe like with fall and winter, because we're just going into the winter season, and a lot of the crops that the farmers will harvest in the fall time are storage crops. So they're going to be just fine to have, you know, moving forward. And those might be even things like onions. And so I buy bulk onions directly from the farms, and incorporating pickled things into, whether you're buying a jar of pickled produce that's in the supermarket in the refrigerator aisle, that way you're just incorporating different flavor profiles, but those pickled vegetables in the refrigerator section of the produce area of the supermarket, those are most likely going to be fermented as well. And when we incorporate, it's a great idea to incorporate any type of fermented foods onto your boards, because that's immediately helping support your digestion, your immune system, and it's gonna be just a great option to keep people's digestive systems a little bit balanced, especially through all of these different types of gatherings. But if you wanted to pickle your own, so the onions I think are like super easy, but you can pickle any vegetable. Usually all I do with the onion, I'm just cutting a little bit here for us, is just cutting the onion in half and quarters, and then thin slices. But to pickle something, it's really simple. Over the stove, I'm just going to, like, in a pot, oops, put my apple cider vinegar and then a sweetener, and you don't have to choose. You do not have to choose a sugar for that. You could use honey, you can use maple syrup, you could use raw sugar, you could use any of those, and you're just, again, going to fill any size jar with the sliced onions, and over the stove, just bring, heat up the apple cider vinegar and the sweetener, and then you're gonna pour it over the onions, you're gonna put the cap on, and then you can add it, once it cools down, you can stick it in the refrigerator, and whenever you're ready to assemble your board together, you're just gonna put the pickled onions right on there. And that's a really nice way to add like a pop of flavor to, like, let's say for instance, I took my cracker and I have my like curry chicken salad and I wanna put some pickled onions on top. It's a really great addition for many different things. So back to the list. So looking for what's in season, and then, you know, maybe trying to add some dark leafy greens in somehow. That's where I would do more of like the kale pesto dip or spread, and add dark leafy greens in, or you could use it as like the form of garnishes as well. Tubers. So like if you wanted to incorporate any type of roasted vegetables, you could do roasted tubers like potatoes, but another really fun thing to do this time of year is look for sunchokes. And these are a tuber that grows, another word for is a Jerusalem artichoke, and you can slice these up and roast them and put them on your board. But it's a great, the reason why incorporating tubers into some type of a board, and usually roasted, goes really well because you don't have to actually serve it hot. You can serve roasted vegetables chilled. Is that they have butyrate in them, and tubers or root vegetables are a great source of butyrate, which helps the bacteria, the beneficial bacteria in your digestive system work. It's like really good food for the good bacteria in your gut. So if that's on your board, awesome. I like to use purple potatoes this time of year too. That might be a fun thing to add. You could even get like the smaller ones, and if you boil them and mash and just smash them, and then you can bake them, you could serve them with a little dip on the side, and that could like go into your board as well. And I have that recipe in one of the links. So tubers, roots, squash, pumpkin, all of those are, again, not off the table for incorporating into a board. And then fruit. So we do have a lot of seasonal fruit right now. Even though mandarins do not grow locally, they're still in season. Another thing, that fruit that's in season right now that's really good for our digestive system are pomegranates. And pomegranates have red polyphenols, which is, again, really good for building up the good bacteria in our gut microbiome, which will keep all of our immune systems a lot stronger than if we didn't have them. And for pomegranates, I might like put 1 or 2 on the board for decoration, but you could just take the pomegranate seeds out and serve them in a little bowl that goes on the board. You could just cut them into like wedges, and people could take a wedge and then de-seed it themselves. So there's a couple different ways to display it. Apples are still in season. I found this like really fun apple. I can't remember the name of it now, but I stopped at a farm stand, and it's amazing how many different apples there really are. but I was gonna slice this and put it, you know, with more of a sweet dip if I wanted to. I guess some of the vegetables that I did choose that were in season that I was able to find is celery is a pretty cold weather crop actually. You can get it towards the end of the season through the fall. I have some different colored carrots here. So I have some yellow and red carrots. For my roasted vegetable category, I was gonna go with the sunchokes and parsnips. So a parsnip is again another root vegetable that is gonna have a different flavor profile than the others, which would be really fun to put on the board in the form of roasted. You can eat them fresh though. And then radishes this time of year. So this is actually a purple daikon radish, and they're all gonna be different levels of spiciness. So we don't wanna think that all radishes are gonna be super spicy, because a lot of them actually are very mild and really good to put on a board that could be for cheese. And then you have an easy gluten-free option for guests too that, you know, would prefer not to do crackers or bread, etc. So the purple daikon, this is a purple top turnip. So again, these can be all raw. Then we have a watermelon radish, which is like one of my favorites, especially for display purposes. It looks pretty cool. And again, depending, these vary all the time. Sometimes I'll have one that's really like has a bite to it, and then other times I'll have one that is a little bit more mild. We have a red radish, and then this is a China rose radish. And then fennel is always great, and the tops of fennel I always try to incorporate, whether it's in a garnish, but the bottom we're gonna leave. You could actually add this into your roasted vegetables. You could leave it whole and use it as like kind of a decor for your board, or you could just, you know, slice it and let people have it raw. It's also really good pickled. So there's a lot of different options there. But that's our produce section. And then for different sauces and things like that, again, you can follow the links. But for my board today, we're gonna do a pimento mito, which is a Portuguese style dip, but I think it's just like such a great condiment and goes good on most things. There's also a fermented like chutney that I found. Again, you could just go to the store and be like, okay, I'm going to buy hummus, I'm going to buy cheese, and I'm gonna make one dip myself. And that could be, you know, what you choose to do. Or, you know, you could really expand and try some different things. So we have our so we picked a proteins, step 1. Step 2 is choosing our produce. Step 3 is choosing our grains. So again, like you could add a variety of different grains. So instead of crackers today, I am going to, I got some sprouted bread and I cut them into squares, and I'm going to just put a little bit of olive oil on them and toast them. And now I have my own like little toast to put on my board. You could use different types of tortillas. I've made buckwheat crepes before. So I was just making a simple batter and using a small frying pan, and you can make crepes. And that could be something fun to put on your board as a vessel, as the grain. If you're going for more of like a gluten-free style, you might even want to make rice, because then people could actually take your board and you could have, you know, little rice bowls, and they can assemble their rice bowls with all of the fun things that you provided for them for different proteins and fibers. I'm just gonna mute that person. Okay, so we can use different breads. We could make crepes. We could make rice bowls. You could incorporate quinoa. You could make quinoa cakes. But the idea that we're talking about is separating things and putting them into categories so that we're assembling our board in a balanced way, that we have proteins and we have fibers. So we're not only supporting us, but we're really supporting, you know, everyone to be able to choose the different proteins and fibers. And I think that really works well in especially a social setting, and people have a choice, but you're still, you know, promoting balance. Step 4, I always like to incorporate, you know, something sweet, and different herbs. So that could be like different local jams that you found or that you made, jams, jellies, marmalades. I also have made these cacao balls for us today. And so they're just, you know, small little bite-sized balls that you can put sweet treats on your board as well, if you want to. You could put cookies, you could put little pieces of chocolate. I have a big event coming up for New Year's Eve that we're really promoting this idea of like balance and nourishing ourselves. And so we're incorporating some other out-of-the-box ideas to promote balance, like digestive bitters, which digestive bitters has been around for thousands of years. It's made from plants that support the digestive system. So putting out like little tinctures is going to be like kind of a part of that balance where we're supporting the digestion. But if you put fermented foods on your board, you're doing something very similar. And then with the produce that you put on the board, that's going to be your prebiotic food, which is again supporting your digestive system. And different like teas and using ginger, those are also like ways to support digestion. So these are the 4 steps that you'll get in your email, and a link of all of the recipes that I briefly mentioned today. So I'm gonna go ahead and, ouch, my foot got a little cramp because I was sitting on it, but this is our long board. You could really just, you could use a platter if you wanted to. You can use a plate. You can really use anything, but I like to use boards, and I have this raw cedar board, and I might incorporate, you know, some different bowls in it. But like I said before, so we went over the steps. Now I'm just going to kind of step into this creative space because I think that's a really important part of the process. But I'm giving you the tools, but it's your board. So you get to do whatever you want. I love using cabbages in many different ways. If it's like a really big one, I'm gonna go ahead and use these cabbage leaves as more of like a decor. And so let's say, for instance, this is, this cabbage is gonna take the place of like a plate because it's covering the board. So for the, let's see, chicken salad, I could leave it in a bowl like this. I can also, let's see here. You can also use parchment paper for things. Let's see. So I think I'm gonna put this board up here. So we have, these are like all of the toasts. And then we have the sweet. I'm probably gonna put more like down towards this end and leave the mandarin oranges for people. But at the same time, let's get some veggies going here. So this is like a quick demonstration, but I think, again, just like seeing the pops of color. And you could cut the vegetables any way that you want, but I might just kind of start by filling in. So you put your, so far I have the chicken. I have to figure out where I'm gonna put the eggs. If I want to peel them, I can. I did these last night, so I don't know. The trick with farm eggs, if you want to incorporate local farm eggs as hard-boiled eggs, the trick is to use a spoon and run it under cold water, and they will peel a lot easier. But this one feels like it's coming along actually pretty nicely. So I'll just do at least one for us and show you where I'm gonna put it. And I'm gonna probably keep it near the other proteins so that, again, just intuitively, it can be easy for people to navigate the board without you having to be like, this is a protein, this is a fiber. So I'll probably keep all like the proteins close to over here. And for now, just for time purposes, you can put like the eggs just like that. Okay. And then some other proteins. So we have the tahini dip that I was telling you about. So this is another protein. So this is gonna go, probably will actually put it right there on the board. There's one more egg. Stick that right there. Okay. And let's get some more produce going. So again, I'm just filling in. For the pomegranate, I think I'm gonna go with just the slices for now. Or you could even like serve it like this in pieces. So I'll put these out. Actually, I'm going to use it to do a pop of color on the cacao ball platter. So there we go. This is a much, I mean, as long as people have napkins, they will be just fine. So these are the pomegranate chunks that are going with the cacao balls and over near the mandarins. I'll get this out of the way. Let's get some more produce on the board. So again, just to show everyone, you can, wash and rinse your vegetables, obviously. But once you get them cut, you can really have a lot of fun just intuitively placing your veggies on your board. The pomegranate does make a stain, so I just wanna, and then look at how beautiful that radish is inside. So that's gonna offer us a lot of color pop to our board as well. Okay, so we have our radishes. We'll put this back near the watermelon radish. We have turnip, which again is just gonna offer a slightly different, and it does look different. It's completely white inside. And you could, whenever I'm teaching cooking classes, everyone is usually like, how do you want me to cook this? I think it's really important to, ask yourself, how do you want to cook it? You don't have to cook or cut things any particular way. but if you want to, you know, just play around with it and just give yourself permission, really, that's what I'm saying. So we have our yellow carrot here, and I'm gonna just slice this the long way to make some sticks. Okay, so then we'll put the yellow carrots. We have our Chinese rose radish. And I'm gonna cut these the longer way too, just to add some variety to the produce here. What are we gonna do with our fennel? That's really good for digestion. Again, we want to take advantage of these parts because we can add them. Like I would, I don't know, maybe take like a little bit of the fronds, and I might use it as like a garnish for the dip. I might take like one that's like kind of on a stalk but has like a little fun tree-like to it, and probably put that like on the pulled chicken, like in the bowl as a garnish. It also can go good as a garnish like with the fruit and such. I'm being called, drawn to add it over here to where the pomegranates and the cacao balls are. And if we keep going here, then even like when you do have nuts and seeds, you can like find spaces and just fill in with nuts and seeds. So I just put the pumpkin seeds right over where the watermelon radishes are. And then for, let's see, we have a couple other, okay, so we have the fennel bulb that again, I'm gonna just put with the crudité part of it. So we have the proteins, we have the produce, and even the seeds are like kind of a part of the protein. The apple slices, just to show you. And if I was making this for, you know, a party or a larger group, I might, especially just this time of year, I might be wearing gloves, etc. But this is just for demo purposes here. Okay, so when we have our apples, maybe we have like one more fun white turn up here. I'm going to put this in the back there, just fill it in. We do have our parsnip, which again, I said roasted, but we can also, if you slice it really thin, it can go really good on a charcuterie board. There we go. Just moving all this stuff out of the way. So then we want to think about, there's one more. We forgot about our purple daikon. These guys I'm going to just, they're so beautiful in that like pop of purple right there. I want to highlight that. So I'm going to slice these into discs instead. Okay. And so we have these beautiful, and I'm running out of room. So I'm going to actually move the fruit down so that I can layer up these as an option here. Okay, great. So proteins, produce, fruit, and any type of sweets. And then you can either, if you like the jars that the jams are in, you can use them just right on the board as is. Or you could look for, you know, smaller, cute things. Let me see. Like if you have like if you have like small bowls, often that could be useful. I'm probably I already have this dip, I have the jam. Maybe for like the sauerkraut, I would put in one of them. Okay, and I might stick this like in the center here. So that's sauerkraut. We have like another sauerkraut, a jam. I think that's a pretty good display. Actually, you could put this. And then you want to think of like spoons too for people. So I'm like, okay, well, there's 1, 2, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but I think that we're looking pretty good. And if you wanted to put cheese, like, you know, you can move the different parts of where you're putting the produce and slide cheese in. But you can see this really came together. Let's get everything out of the way pretty nicely. Okay, I don't know if everyone can see that, but that is the board that we just created that you could see really only took me a few minutes to assemble, and we're at really good time because it's 12:45. So I do want to just pause here. I hope you had fun watching me intuitively assemble my board today. And hopefully, you know, these steps are helpful in designing your own, because it doesn't have to be like so complex, but you can purchase things at the store or you can make them yourself, but it comes together in this production when we follow the steps of choosing our proteins, choosing our produce, choosing our grains, and then choosing like our sweets and our herbs if we want to.